That's funny.
Hey guys.
Hey, it's been a while. It feels like it's been
I
a while because we
know.
did our second check-in on Tuesday, so it's been a
We
couple
did it
days. It's been
really
a hot
early in the
minute.
week, to be fair.
Yeah, but we had some topics to talk about. So, how's everybody doing? How is your reading going? It's almost Christmas, so Merry Christmas because we may not.
Almost
I don't
Christmas.
know if we're
Yeah.
gonna check in or anything before
I
now,
don't
but this
know.
is a week 4 check-in, so
Yeah.
we'll probably do one more, and then we got to wrap up the year and go over like everything we read and then our plans for next year, our reading goals for next year. So it's going to be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not tonight. Tonight. So how are you? I know you showed me your progress.
I am on
Earlier.
chapter 39, which is
Okay.
I probably shouldn't have opened Fable because I haven't actually read today. Okay, I'm like 33%.
Okay, cool. I am like 68% through Throne of Glass. I realized, oh my gosh, 2024 is almost over. So the last couple of days, most of this week, I've been scrambling. I got to finish this. I got to finish that. I got to plan my goals for next year, and like writing and editing and publishing. And I'm like, I did all this stuff so I could take off the end of the year. And then the end of the year's coming, and I'm scrambling more than I normally would. So but I'm still reading. I don't know what my reading goal is anymore because I got 4 chapters ahead. And so I was trying to read 4 ahead, like 4 more every day. And it got to the point where I was just reading so much that I just lost track. But
That's fair. That's a good problem
some
to
of
have,
this
though.
it is. And some of this is back matter. So I don't have that much left to go. I would say, yeah, so it's this much left. That all is back matter. And for me, when the tunnel, like when she found the tunnels and almost got out, and I told you last week that was a good character development part. Ever since then, the plot's picked up. So to me, this feels like just a book I'm reading. And I would say for me, as of right now, it's like 3.5 stars. Like it actually is a little bit above average, but it's not quite 4 stars. It's just, it's a nice book that I'm reading and I'm actually enjoying it. And the whole spoilers potentially for Throne of Glass if you haven't read it yet. Now I'm starting to be like you and I'm barely getting the spoiler warnings in. But the plot line with the Queen Elena that's appearing to her and like you have to win and you have to stop them, that's intriguing. And I'm trying to figure out how that all ties into things. And I want to know what the heck's killing everybody. So that's interesting. And I like her dynamic with Kale. Kale. I was doing Steven. I've been watching a lot of Steven's videos, and he purposely calls him Kale.
I saw that. Joel, like it's not Joel. But then he makes a big joke out of saying it wrong, so I'm like, oh, okay. I'll let it be.
Yeah, so he does it on purpose. Kale, I like her dynamic with Kale, and recently she's had a lot more moments with Dorian as well. So I just got past the part where the princess talked to her and was like, the princess Nemia, her people were slaughtered, the rebels were slaughtered, and so Selena kind of like hugged her and comforted her. So that was kind of sad. So yeah, it's just for me, I'm just enjoying it. There's not really a whole lot to talk about, but I'm really enjoying it. A lot of people are dying, so I'm curious to see what the heck's going on with that. So did have a lot of theories, and keep in mind I'm still a baby at this series, so I'm probably wrong and there's a lot more I don't know. But everybody starts off.
Context for people watching this. She is one of the people that chose to read Assassin's Blade later, so do not mention anything about Sam, about adventures, or anything related to Assassin's Blade because she has no idea, and you will like spoil and like a very sincerely upset her. So, and I don't want her to be spoiled because there are certain things I want her authentic reaction to. So, context.
Thank you for that.
I read Assassin's Blade first. She read it. She's going to read it later so we can compare our thoughts. That's kind of where we're at. We both chose one of the two methods of reading. And so
that's probably what I was thinking about when I get to Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. I may do the in tandem read just to see what the difference is. Okay. So we may see. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. I don't know what I was saying. But either way, so what was I saying? I was saying something. It was about the book. Yeah, so I don't know what I was saying now.
Your brain is just wiped.
Yeah. Well, it was like the lore. Okay, I'm probably
Okay.
wrong. I'm a baby at the series. Everybody starts off reading Throne of Glass and gets. I'm sure everybody's had. I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe. Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe not. You know when you sneeze and
Mm-hmm.
like your nose burns and you're like, that's what it
You
was
have that
doing. But I was like, I
feeling
don't
like you're
know.
gonna sneeze, but it's just kind of stuck there
Yeah.
and it won't come out. Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure everybody uh were live streaming. So
Bye.
anyway, you may want to yeah. But anyways, so
It'll be fine.
anyways, okay. So theories. Everybody starts off reading Throne of Glass, and I'm sure everybody had their theories for how the series connects, unless you started off before ACOTAR. But my main thing was wondering if the Elena thing and the Queen and all that stuff, and talking. There's a lot of mentions about portals to other worlds and stuff like that, and there's been a lot of little things like that, and so
Mm-hmm.
part of me was curious if that was going to connect in some way. And
Yeah.
so a lot of like the lore with Elena talking to her and stuff like that was really intriguing for me because I was really curious to see how that connected and everything.
When you meet
Also,
her, the story picks up quite a bit. When you
yeah,
meet
it
her,
really
the story
does.
picks up.
Yeah, and so for me also, Paltane, the prissy chick,
Uh-huh.
she's kind of into like I mean she's a well-written character written to be annoying. So she annoys me in a well-written way, if that makes sense. But her perspective, she's getting all these headaches and she's getting high and she's out of her mind, and I'm like, what the heck's going on with her? And I'm like, or is
Mm-hmm.
she possessed and there's some sort of beast that's eating everybody, or is that going to be Cain doing it to try to knock
I don't know.
out some competition?
Uh-huh.
So I want answers, and I'm really hoping to finish this by the end of the year.
Well,
But it
I
is
said I
literally
don't
December
know,
22nd, and
but I
I'm
do
kind of getting
know,
scared.
but I'm not gonna tell you. So.
Yeah. Of course, I'm just speculating at this point. So that's everything with me.
Yeah.
I'm really worried I'm not gonna get it finished before the end of the year, and I want
Honey,
to do I
you're
want to have it
talking
done
about
before I
not
wrap
being
up.
worried about finishing before the end of the year. All of my book reading apps are like 2014 wrap up, and I'm like, hold on, I'm not done
Hold
yet.
on. Yeah,
Fable has told me twice, let's create your 2014 wrap up, and I'm like, I
me
want
too.
this to be the
2024.
biggest read on my list this year. Don't push me.
I'm so rooting for you. I am
I
rooting
know.
for you.
I'm like,
I
I'm
know.
pushing so hard to
Can't
finish
wrap
it.
up the year because I want Throne of Glass to be on this year's wrap up. I'm
It
finishing
will.
this in 2024,
Okay,
not 2025.
I have to get my oil changed tomorrow, and then I have nothing else to
Mm-hmm.
do. We don't have because my dad and I both go to lessons. He's learning to play the banjo. I'm learning to play an acoustic bass, and so like we all both like
Mm-hmm.
not the stand up bass, like the guitar bass. And so we go to practices on Monday nights. There's no practice tonight, so we should be okay.
Right.
So
That's funny. All right. So,
but
what
I
was
also
your
need to
topics for today?
finish
Oh,
Aunt
yeah.
Rhonda's
Maybe
blanket.
you'll get a lot of chance to read tonight. Not tonight, but
I may
tomorrow.
do audiobook and then crochet Aunt Rhonda's blanket so I can finish it.
Yes, that would be
Hopefully
nice.
she's not watching this.
By the way, Merry Christmas, everybody. So,
Yeah, Merry
I
Christmas.
have some things that may be kind of gift like for all of you that may be nice for you guys to get. We got some free book bargain stuff.
Ooh,
So,
cool, cool.
and a little gift if it works. So, got that going on. Oh, except for I just got rid of it. Oh gosh, I closed the tab out.
Go to history, the three dots, history, and then it should see your closed tabs, and you can open your closed tab.
Yeah, I got it.
I've done that at
All
school
right,
a
cool.
lot. Okay, do you want to start with news, theory, or discussion?
Let's do news. What's going on with
Okay,
news?
this one's a bookish news. It's movie related, but it's a story. It's about stories, so I assume it's okay. And the
Yes.
musical's based on a book, kind of,
Hey,
sort of.
we'll count it.
It works.
We'll count it.
So George Lucas went to see Wicked and loved it so much that he FaceTimed the director after the movie was done to congratulate him about it, and said that
Oh my
he's
god.
like he it was funny because he asked him like I made movies right, and he's like yes, he's like yeah, you're George Lucas, yes,
Know
I know
that.
they made movies, and he's like I know what it takes. I know what it takes to make a movie, to make a something. I forget the exact quoting, but he said it takes several different things, and he said you've got it. And so apparently Wicked is just it impressed
I've
George Lucas, and
heard.
George Lucas loved it. So yeah, Okay, so
My
they want to
ex-best
do.
friend from high school posted about it when she went to see it and was
It
like a
looks so
meme that's like
good.
when you see Wicked and you're like it like consumes you or something like it's like a
Hmm.
meme that's like talk about how it
It looks
consumes you and
so
like
good. And
yeah,
I'm obsessed with musicals anyway, so it's like
I am
I've always
too.
want that's one of the one Broadway musical that I wanted to see, but it's like the Broadway original like you can only find like illegally recorded videos on YouTube and I'm like I want the an actual like can I just have a streaming service from Broadway where we have recordings of all these musicals? Is that possible?
Yes,
Because
please, like what Sight and Sound
I
Theater
would
is
pay
doing,
ample
you
amounts
know?
of money to view this
Yeah.
on a streaming service. Like I would spend my own adult money
Mhm.
on this because
Well, it's
there are
like what
several
Sight
that I
and
want to
Sound
watch.
Theater started to do during COVID
Yes,
when they had to
Sight
shut
and
the theater
Sounds.
down, and now
It's
they've
called Sight
picked
and
up
Sound
with live
TV.
streaming their plays,
Yeah.
and it's been nice.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay. So you want to do a theory, the other news, or discussion? Or we can make it
let's do
even.
the news.
Okay, the other news. Okay. In an interview,
Yes.
Sarah J. Maas describes the bad character as being destroyed in the third book, and continues by saying that the world is changed in major ways. She said the wall separating the two lands is down. Her questions were, what do you do? This is her me quoting her. What do you do? How do you rebuild? She mentions rebuilding several times and political power. She says making comments about about the fairies who have been confined to the north for so long are now looking at these vulnerable. She said the word vulnerable lands and wondering what are they going to do?
Right.
Okay, my questions. Could this foreshadow what Akatar 6 will look like? Which I assume that's what she was saying. Like her describe this is her kind of like describing like the beginnings of the plot of Akatar 6. And
Right.
says, "What will the end game look like?" That's my next question. And I have one more question after. I have my thoughts
Interesting.
on this, but I want your thoughts first. Like as a writer, like is she describing what's going to happen? Like yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like when you ask that question, like, "Oh, this event happened. What do you do from there?" That's us asking the question. Like when we talk about that, it's kind of like the headspace we had to get into to figure out where to go with the
oh,
plot.
okay,
Typically,
okay.
so it's like it's definitely her headspace on moving forward
Because she
after when she talked
mentions
about book 3. Is she talking about Wings and Ruin?
yes,
She said something about book 3. Okay, because I was
yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah.
So
It's the pink one. She said
yes, Wings and Ruin.
the big bad guy, the bad guy was destroyed in this one. And then she said she
Yeah,
had to question had like her questions were what do you do, how do you rebuild. She says the word rebuild like that time and then one other time as well. And she also mentions political power, and she also mentions
there was
that the
a lot of
human
political
lands are
stuff going
vulnerable,
on.
like the human lands are vulnerable, and that
They did
these
set that plot
fairies
line
have
up
been
in Silver
confined.
Flames. Yeah, they did set that plot line up in
Yeah,
Silver Flames where it did mention that the human lands are vulnerable, and there wasn't a whole lot of politics in Silver Flames because it was like Nesta isolated and training.
yeah,
The one thing that did mention was that one scene that I was like, Amaran's pushing Rhysand too much, too far,
yes,
and I
I
didn't,
thought
and I'm
about
like,
that
she's
too.
giving me bad
I
vibes.
noted that.
And so, if there's more politics, it's definitely got to include Rhysand and the other Fey lords,
Yeah,
Fey High Lord,
yeah.
somewhere somehow. So, I don't know, where do you go from there? You know what I mean? Like, that is
Like
a good question. Like,
what do
what
you?
is
I
gonna
mean, what do
happen?
you think the end game will look like the end of the series?
I know what I want. I sometimes when I speculate, I
What
don't
do
wanna
you
get my
want?
expectations too high.
What do you
I
want?
want a whole Avengers moment. Like, let's bring everybody together and actually include more perspectives than just focusing on Elaine.
Yeah.
Like, let's go back, like, let's add in everybody else, and, like, I want, like, a high
You
an
know what
epic
my
fantasy.
comment was?
What?
Because you don't know my thought, right? Yeah. You want to know what my comment was? I honestly
What was your
feel like
comment?
there's an even bigger bad guy that will come in and tie all three series together.
Yeah, like, let's do a
I
crossover, let's
know.
get
I'm like,
everybody involved.
yeah.
Like, get everybody's perspective, and, like, I
Hmm.
kinda like, I loved Nesta's story, but
Yeah.
I kinda just don't want these slower paced, like,
Yeah.
character
I
arc
feel like
focused.
I don't
Like,
know.
let's do Nesta and Cassian's perspective, let's do Feyre and
I
Rhysand, let's do
still
another big bad guy, and,
yeah.
like explode the world and
See,
like actually get a
okay,
plot line going. You know what I'm saying?
like spoilers for Silver Flames. Why would you set up the whole her getting power from like the crown and these other things that are like amplifying her power? Why would you introduce that? Just to introduce like in a book that's based pure for her like love story. Like, why would you introduce that if you didn't plan on bringing that up later?
That's like the quest, the quest for an epic magical item trope,
And
and that's usually in a high
I
fantasy thing, not like a
I know, and
let's just fall in
honestly,
love.
as I was saying that, I'm finding similarities to the series that I've been currently reading. So I
Yeah,
can't talk anymore. but
it's
but
okay.
but that's what I kind of want. I don't know. I want like some big badder like crazier bad guy to come along that like everyone are legitly scared of. Not like this Amarantha
Yeah,
where they're scared of her just because she's ruthless or crazy, like
she has the potential. I feel like I
she
I
did
really
have
loved her as a
potential.
bad
I
guy. I
felt like
really did.
she was killed off too quickly. I was just very irritated
Yeah.
at how quickly they just kind of like dumped her. And I'm like, really?
Oh, yeah. It was kind of like focused on the Beauty and the Beast trope, so it's okay. We have to have a happy end, like
Yeah.
we have to resolve things. And she may not have realized that it was going to become a bigger
Mm-hmm.
thing. But
Yeah.
okay, so do you want me to do my controversial topic
Sure.
next?
Yeah, we can do
Okay.
that.
So I never get on Facebook because every time I do, the
Oh,
first post
I
I
never
see is
get on
something
Facebook
that will
either.
get me riled up. So So that one of those events where I was like, there's nothing else for me to do on my phone, so I just opened Facebook just to scroll. And
Yeah.
there's this group on there that I'm a part of. It's called Realm Makers Consortium, and it is amazing. It's like the hub of Christian speculative fiction authors.
Okay.
So
Cool.
anybody who writes science fiction and fantasy in like Christian science fiction, that's called speculative fiction.
Hmm.
But they're more like we're like secular writing, but we just come at it from a Christ-like
Okay.
perspective. So it's like
Like
my kind of
Tolkien.
style. It's not like the happy-go-lucky Christian.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of stuff. They do their own award ceremony and they have a writers conference every year that I've been
Mm-hmm.
dying to go. Like that's my ultimate dream is to go there and get a
Yeah.
booth there. But so they have a lot of stuff. So apparently this one guy, I'm not going to say names, but this one guy posted, and I don't know if he was the guy in the TikTok or if he just posted the TikTok video for
Mm.
discussion. But he posted a TikTok that had a guy that was talking about the traditional masculine and feminine roles and why the hero's journey is a space only for men and why women's archetypes are better served emulating the Blessed Virgin Mary. And he said intriguing stuff. And so I watched the TikTok video, and the TikTok comments were ripping this guy apart, the guy in the video. And even a lot of people in the Realm Makers Consortium, there's a few comments here that I want to highlight. But some of them was like, this sounds like rage bait. This is a little offensive to all the women in this like group because there's a lot of female authors in there like myself. Um and another person had a funny comment that was like, well, if you think the hero's journey is only for men and that women should emulate Mary, maybe men should emulate Joseph and not actually do much of anything. And I like laughed because
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, Mary's husband, Jesus's adopted dad, kind of just wasn't included a whole lot. Like he was
Yeah.
there, he supported her, he had that dream, and like it's like he wasn't really involved. And so it's
Yeah.
like maybe men should act like Joseph then. And I was like, that's hilarious. Um,
Hmm.
but and I'm like, came at it at the perspective, I didn't agree with anything the guy said, but I am of the mindset that I don't like um so actually, I'll just read you my comment. So this is what I said. As a woman, I wasn't necessarily offended by the video. I watched it, didn't read the article because they had an article with
Yeah.
it. I was like, even though I wasn't offended by it, like some people, I was like, even though I do think women can go on the hero's journey, but one man's opinion isn't going to hurt me or impact me enough to get upset like some of the other women seem to be. I do have to
Yeah.
admit, though, I am so annoyed with countless books, specifically in the fantasy genres I read, that have strong female protagonists and males are nothing more than a love interest. Um, Males are nothing more than a love interest. Sometimes you have a strong love interest at best and nothing more than eye candy at worst.
Yeah.
I miss male heroes in books and fantasy especially. I miss strong masculine men as heroes saving a damsel in distress who, yes, you can make damsels in distress strong, but without physical strength. And it also means more than just physical strength,
Yeah.
like the inner strength of women in the Bible had. Call me crazy, but as a woman, I want to read about hunky heroes being heroic, going through horrible things and overcoming them, and saving a woman and falling in love with her and taking care of her. I'm a happily married woman, and I love being protected and provided for. That doesn't take away from what I do in my life, though. And so it's like, and so that's my kind of take on it, is like, I wasn't offended by what he said, but I can understand that a lot of women were upset, clearly. And I still think it's a weird statement to make that women can't go, like female characters can't go on the hero's journey, because that's not true. But
Yeah.
I'll let you have your thoughts.
I think that the statement sounded very ill-informed on Bible
Yeah.
characters. I think you run the danger. Okay, a lot of people like to almost and I'm not talking about like any particular religious group. I'm just talking about Christians in general. Sometimes people like to like elevate Mary higher than what she should be. Yes, she was a faithful woman. Yes, she was so faithful that the Lord chose her, God the Father chose her to be Jesus's mother. Yes. Like that's a big thing. Like she didn't question it. Like she obviously questioned like, well, how's this going to happen? Like I've never been with a guy. How's this going to work? Like she obviously had those logical questions, but not once did she like doubt God's ability and things like that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yes,
Yeah.
she was a very strong woman in the faith. Yes. But that does
Mm-hmm.
not mean she was just some little Barbie doll that sits over in the corner and looks good and doesn't say anything.
I mean, she went through
There
her own
were
hero's journey when you
yes,
think about it.
there
Just like,
were
I mean, Esther is one of my favorite characters in the Bible. Um, and she's, a female character and stuff. So,
and then the first woman that comes to mind that I would consider that went on that hero journey, Esther. Queen Esther.
mhm. Yes,
I don't think people realize just how who was my mind just went blank. Who was the guy in that story? King
King Xerxes,
Xerxes. Like I don't
or
think people
yeah,
realize just
Xerxes.
how twisted and horrible this guy was. And for her to just like one to marry the guy. Well, she didn't really have much of a choice in that matter, but like to go before him and plead for her like to acknowledge that she was like Jewish and was pleading for her people like that. Like when it comes to King Xerxes, like have you seen 300?
Mhm.
Did you see how Hollywood portrayed this man? I mean, like in
Yeah,
my eyes,
I
if
forgot that
anyone
was
went
like
on a hero
Esther's
journey, it's her.
Xerxes.
So all I'm saying is no, she didn't carry a sword. No, she wasn't the buffest person in the Bible. I mean, it probably would have been Samson, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's
And he was taken down by Delilah, who was a woman. Just gotta say.
yeah. I mean, like, and that's where I'm like, just because a woman doesn't look buff like a man doesn't mean they can't go on hero journeys. And I would say
Yeah.
if and like the reason why I say it seems almost ill-informed because there are hundreds of women in the Bible that all went through to really tough situations and were really strong in the faith and weren't silent or just a petite little Barbie doll sitting on a pedestal and being taken care of the entire time. That's not how that yeah, there were some women in the Bible that did that. And yes, it says
Mhm.
like there's that whole like submit to the husbands love for the wives like Christ loved the church. There's that whole bit, yes. But it's like Christ died for the church. So it's like
Mhm. Yeah.
like
And to me,
men
one
you
thing
need
that
to
occurred
be
as
need
you
to
were
be worth
talking.
like men need to be worth submitting to, but at the same like
Hmm.
you need to have a character that's like if you're
Well,
going to have that dynamic, that character needs to be worth submitting to. You
hmm.
know what I'm
And
saying?
here's the thing, what occurred to me though
Yeah.
is at the wedding that Jesus was at, I don't remember the place, but
Yeah.
he turned the water into wine.
Yeah.
literally Mary was like, "You need to do this," and he's like, "It's not my time yet." And she told him to do it, and he's like, kind of like, "Yes, mother." He obeyed his
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
So all these wives who submitted to their husbands are also became mothers. Like it reminds me of also
Mhm.
Sarah, Abraham's Sarah,
Yeah.
and how she literally laughed at God, like laughed. She didn't know it was God, like Jesus in the flesh coming to see her or whatever. But she laughed when God told her that she would have a baby in her old age, and she kind of laughed about it. And she
Mhm.
took matters into her own hands and was like, Abraham, here's my servant, go make a child because I'm not going to have one. And she
Mhm.
was like, she reminds me of those take charge kind of wives. It's like happy wife, happy life. That's an old, like it's a country saying in the country area. But, and it's like, I don't know. She seems like she was one of those like Karen kind of
Yeah.
people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, yeah, I 100%. To me, Queen Esther, like, she's my favorite female Bible story. And she, like you said, she went on the hero's journey. Because if you look at the hero's journey, there's always like that inciting incident, that
Mhm.
starts off everything, which is when all the
Yep.
women were collected and Vashti was
Yeah.
banished.
Uh-huh.
And she had to go through all the training and everything. And then there was
Yeah.
I think she came before him and would like read to him or something like that. And, there's all this stuff. And then, of course, the drama with her people. And, she fasted for like 3 days beforehand. And then she had the dinners. And there was Haman was the one behind it. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a really exciting story.
Oh yeah.
Ruth is another good one.
Yeah.
She lost her husband and she vowed to travel with Naomi and was like it was just her and Naomi, and so she stayed with
Yeah.
Naomi and everything. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
there's
it's just
and that's where I feel like if he's going to like you can't just name what literally the most popular woman in the Bible and say that women need to be like this character. Because that essentially
yeah.
kind of defeated, like kind of like contradicted what the whole statement he was trying to make. Because
Mhm.
you even mentioned there are instances where, you know, Mary just wasn't always silent. And we don't get a whole lot of like her growing up with Jesus, but I can guarantee you she was his mom. She was his mother. She
The fact that he
did what
turned water
mothers
into
would
wine
do.
at a
You know
wedding
what I'm
for her.
saying?
Yeah.
like so it's like and then there are like hundreds of other women in the Bible that it's like it just seems almost like learn actually go and read the Bible before you make some kind of statement like that.
Yeah.
Like
And it almost like a lot of the
I'm not
it
gonna
seemed like
lie,
rape bait.
I I don't hate strong female characters. I don't hate them. I don't like the women like a female being the protagonist of the story. I think it's very common now. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but it's I mean if it comes sometimes it becomes almost so common that it's like it's not as like as interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's like
Uh-huh. Yeah, I get that.
I think that's why I soaked up Fourth Wing so much is because she's the female protagonist, she's the main character, but she's not like a Captain Marvel type character that has
Yeah.
all the
She had
power, all the
own
skills. Like
it.
she had to work for it.
Mhm.
And that's where it's like if
Mhm.
I'm going to have a female protagonist, just like any male protagonist, I want them to work for it. You know what I'm saying? Like the character needs to
Yeah.
work for it. It needs to
100%.
be if you're going to have a strong female character at the end of the book that's really powerful, they need to go through some crap to get there. Like
Yep.
they need to be dropped from their pedestal. Something needs to happen to them so that they can become humbled into the person that they need to be, which is honestly
Mhm.
what I'm currently reading about in this without giving
Yeah.
details.
That's exciting. Yeah.
Characters getting dropped
That's
from their
exciting.
pedestal, being humbled and having to work through all their trauma and all their relationship problems and all of this other like it's just you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
that's my thoughts on it. It's like I don't mind having a strong female character that's the center of attention that has lots of extra powers, but they need to be humbled at some point in this story.
Yeah. For me, I'm again, everything that you said is pretty much how I feel. The only
Yeah.
thing I would add is that for me, sometimes I don't like strong always equaling physical strength and
Yeah.
masculine
Yeah.
traits on a
I would
woman.
agree with that.
Like some of my favorite characters of all time, like the woman from Outlander, which is a book series,
Mhm.
what's her name? Claire. She was a nurse in World War II, and y'all know
Yeah.
they went through some
Oh
HE
yeah.
double hockey sticks
Oh yeah.
to deal with soldiers who've been blown to pieces and stuff. And so when
Mhm.
she gets back into Scotland, she has these strong male Scottish warriors who are like, barbarians, and she
Yeah.
tells them what to do, and she tends to their wounds, and she's dealing with all of this stuff in wartime. And to me, it's like she emulates a strong female character because she can
Yeah.
handle herself. She
Yeah.
stays calm in a crisis. She tends to people's wounds. The other one I
Mhm.
would say is from Reign, which I don't think is a book series. It's a TV show.
Yeah.
Queen Mary, the way they portrayed her in there,
Yeah.
she is queen of her country. She's all alone in France.
Mhm.
She'll do whatever she has to protect her country. And some of the things that she does and has to go through in order to protect her country, she is a strong female. Like she is a strong force of like she's alone, standing alone for her country up
Mhm.
against all of this other political stuff. And
Yeah.
so those are my top two favorite. And I would say Ahsoka from Star Wars,
Mm.
which I actually started off hating her when I was younger because I was like, oh, Anakin's not supposed to have an apprentice. Like I was one of those people, but we grew to love her, and now she's
Yeah.
a fan favorite among
Oh
the
yeah.
Star Wars fandom because she's a strong female character who has been humbled, who has gone through so much to earn her spot
Yeah.
as one of the strongest females in Star Wars, period. So I just had to add that. But yeah,
No, yeah,
this
I
person, I did
completely
want
agree.
to highlight this comment because I loved what she said. If anyone tells me that Mary, the mother of God, didn't go on a hero's journey, they need to read the Bible again. She was
Exactly.
called
Thank
unexpectedly,
you.
yeah, at a young age. She was called unexpectedly at a young age to do a task only she could do. She was the chosen one. She had an older mentor, her cousin Elizabeth. She had disappointments and trials. She rode a donkey, pregnant for God's sake, and had a baby far from her own family. She went traveling across many countries with a young child, went on the run in Egypt, I'll add. And I'm sure she had a ton of adventures along the way. In the end, her son saved the world across all time and space. If
Well,
that's
and
not a
let's put
hero's
it this
journey, I
way,
don't know what is.
and if and you have to go back to like times where it's like that character goes through that really low point. Can you imagine watching the child that you have raised from birth be tortured and beaten to a pulp and then forced to just slowly die? Can you imagine that? Like, and to say that
Yeah,
she
it
didn't go on
always
a
gets
hero's
to me.
journey. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Any look at any fantasy novel and tell me there's not death in that novel.
Like, I'm reminded of Passion of the Christ when it
Yeah.
shows Mary
Oh
walking
my
away
gosh,
as
that's
he's
what I
getting
was imaging in my head.
and
You know
she
what I'm
every
saying?
time he gets she
Yes.
flinches and she
Yes.
starts closing her eyes and praying because that's
Yeah.
literally all she can do. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, totally
You
agree
know what
with
I'm
you. All
saying?
right,
So it's
what's your
like
next
anyway.
topic?
Okay, so do you want
Yeah,
we our news my that was my two news. So I have two discussion or two theories. Do you want a theory then a
do a
discussion,
theory.
a theory and a discussion? Is
Let's
that what you want?
yeah,
Go back and forth. Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
do
so
a
this
theory.
one we'll do the Onyx Storm theory and discussion. We'll do those two first. Okay. Okay, so
All
this is
right,
a
cool.
quote, one of the quotes from the Book of Brennan. I'm assuming it's at the beginning of the chapter. I'm assuming one of the chapters. It says page
Yeah.
80, Book of Brennan, apparently. The quote is, "No one stays friends forever, Mira. Eventually, the closest of us become our enemies in some way, even if it's well-intended love or apathy, or we live long enough to become their villains." And it says page 80 of the Book of Brennan. So the question
How
is,
did I miss
who is
that?
he
Uh-huh.
talking about? Is he talking about his mother, or is he hinting at the fact that he's been working with the Venom from the beginning? Because he does have an orange dragon, and the only other two people that we've been introduced to have orange dragons are bad or connected with the Venom.
I'm here for it. I'm here
No, I
for a
am too.
Brennan betrayal, man.
You can't just
Ah,
bring him back from the dead to be a side character like that. You still
spoilers
would do
for
that.
Fortnite,
Oh,
by
oh
the way.
yeah. By the way, spoiler alert.
Well, whatever.
I mean, we mentioned these two books and theories, so you can kind of assume if you use your
That
brain,
you're gonna get spoiled for them.
if the
If you're still
viewers use the
watching by
brain,
now,
if you're watching by now and have suffered through our rants, then one,
yeah.
you're one of us
Eventually,
now.
maybe we'll get these videos in front of actual like Fourth Wing fans and
Yeah,
like
eventually,
Avatar, Throne of Glass
eventually.
fans. I'm here for a Brennan betrayal. I
Yep,
think there's just so much
I
mystery
am
about his
too.
death that I feel like, oh, he just
Mhm.
lived. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's too simple. There
yeah.
got to be more to it than that.
Mhm. Or I could
So
see her going to the Venom side and then Brennan becoming her enemy by helping out the opposite side. I could see that whole dynamic being
I
a
can
thing.
see that. Yeah.
Okay, let me highlight this so I know that I've talked about it already. All right, so discussion. So, what are some of the questions that we want answered in Onyx Storm? So some of the ones that I've written down. What is Violet's second signet? Because apparently it was introduced in an Iron Flame, and just none of us caught it. There are theories
I
about
think
what it
she
could
gets
be,
ghost.
but nobody has kind of settled on it. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Who is the sage? So that guy that shows up and kind of, I can't quite remember who Sage is, but it sounds from, like, that one kind of threw me off because I'm like, I'm gonna have to
The leader of the
reread Iron. I'm gonna have to reread Iron Flame again at some point. What's the purpose of Jack being alive? Like, why would you bring him back?
Because he needed to be a Venin. Wasn't he a Venin? A secret Venin at the end of Fourth Wing? I mean, Iron Flame.
Yeah, but like,
So he needed to betray them.
oh, that's fair. Is Bodhi evil? Which that one kind of threw me off because I didn't really see Bodhi as being evil, but
Who's Bodhi? I don't
one of
remember who Bodhi
I
is.
think wasn't it like Zayden's cousin or something like that?
Oh, okay.
Something
Well,
like
we're watching Fire Country, and the main character in that one's named Bodhi, so I got really confused. I
Oh,
was like, Bodhi? Bodhi from Fire Country? He's a
okay.
firefighter.
Is
Okay.
because again apparently somewhere along in the movie in the book it mentions that it hints at Violet's ex, and then the question is Violet's ex the heir, and is he going to be a part of the next book? So they're like having theories about who Violet's ex boyfriend was. A lot of people think that it was like the heir to like the main guy. It's like the main guy is like the one of the princes, the main prince guy, the main heir guy. That's what they're speculating.
Yeah.
Because apparently it was a soldier guy from the
Right.
soldiers quadrant, and that's where all of the princes tend to go apparently. Um, is Zayden still bonded to Sagel, his dragon? Is he still bonded to her?
What was Jack bonded to his?
I can't remember.
Because I
That's a
can't
good
remember
question.
either.
That's a good question.
As if he
My
is,
question, the question I added,
then say it.
and I saw a video. I saw a video on this, so this is why I added it in. It seems like Violet and I don't know if Zayden is doing this too, but it seems like Violet's complaining about Zayden not telling her things a lot in the past couple books. It just seems like it's a reoccurring thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
are they going to kind of settle this? Like, are they going to get past this whole I'm going to keep things from you? Like that's my question. Are they
Yeah,
going to
that
work
plot line
together
and
and stop like keeping things from people? Because that's one of the most irritating things is seeing them fight about stuff purely because they don't want to talk to the other person about it. And I'm like,
I don't understand that at all. I am such an open person. There's no way
yeah,
you're never what's wrong with me.
yeah,
I am too open at times, and my husband and I have this open relationship. I'll blurt out whatever thoughts I've got in my head most of the time,
yeah,
and we talk about everything. So I
yeah.
don't understand
I don't either.
that trope in relationships and
I don't
people who
either.
hide things from each other. I'd never like
Are
I
they?
can't write it because I can't
Oh
think
yeah,
of why you
yeah.
it's like why not be honest? So
Okay.
I don't have questions that I
Mm-hmm.
want answered per se. Was that the last one?
Yeah.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't
you're
I
good.
jumped
That
the
was what I was going to ask you.
I
What you wanted to
was like,
add? What knowledge do
yeah,
you
okay.
want?
You covered all the questions. I want more about Adarna a little bit. Like I
Ooh,
don't know if there's gonna
yes,
be more with her. I
yes,
want more with the Empyrean. I don't have
yes.
questions per se. I just have expectations that I'm looking for to
Yeah,
like, excite, you know what I mean? Because like you
yeah.
covered all the good questions. I would say I don't want Xaden to have been turned into a Venin and then it for not to go anywhere. So I want to see that plot thread
Gradual.
continued.
I would like a
Yeah.
gradual
Like I
change.
want to see him.
I want to see him
I want him
gradually
to change.
change over time and like to reinforce that like the time frame of like we only have so much time. Like I want that to be a factor to keep it like
Yeah.
moving
And
quickly.
I just don't want it to be like an easy solution because the
Yeah.
Venom are set up as these big bad guys, and it's like you're not
Yeah.
supposed to be savable. I'm interested in more about the theories about like her dad and stuff like that, and then
Yeah.
I don't know. I want war. Like I don't
Mhm.
necessarily want to do more college stuff. We've done
Yeah.
enough training. We've done enough talking. Like let's go to war, baby. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
No, I agree with you.
but I definitely want. Yeah, but
I
I definitely want
see
to know more about the Imperium for me.
piggybacking
Like
on to
I
top of
want
that,
that's
like
yeah.
why are the Empyrean important enough to title this to make that name the name for
Yes.
the series. Why would you name the series that if
Yes.
you're only going to mention them in passing? I'm like, I want to go to this
Yes.
meeting. I want to go to a dragon meeting. I want to see these
Yes.
dragons huddled
Wait.
around this, like, the inside of this mountain. Like, I want to see where the nests are. I want to see the baby dragons. I want to learn about their whole world. And it's like, I could easily see,
Give me a dragon
okay,
lore book,
theory.
please.
I could easily
Yes.
see Andarna, because Andarna is the kind of, I don't give a crap. Like, I'm gonna do what I want, and you're just gonna deal with it. Like, that's Andarna's whole personality. Like, I can totally see her bringing Violet into the Empyrean. Like, I can totally see that happening. Like, if
Smuggling her
her
into
and
a meeting.
Andarna working together. Did they say that that Andarna as an adult I can't remember. Did Violet ride Andarna, or can she
I thought
carry
she couldn't
Violet?
because of her damaged wing.
Oh, okay.
No, she can't.
Hmm.
She can't ride. She can't carry a rider. That was a plot line in
Yeah.
Iron Flame because of her wing or something.
Yeah, but
Some
like I
damage with
couldn't
the
remember,
wing.
since she kind of, spoiler alert, since she kind of grew up a little bit. Since she kind of grew up, I wasn't sure if that had changed. Or I couldn't quite remember that.
I don't remember. I don't remember it changing because I was actually kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, that's kind of sad. But so I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm 100% like, let's get a dragon meeting.
Yeah.
And by the way, Rebecca Yaros, if you ever happen across this, please write us a dragon biology book.
Oh
I
my
will
gosh,
read
yes.
the heck out of that
Just give me a
textbook.
textbook.
Please,
That's
please.
the only
Just
textbook
give me
I
a
will be
textbook about
excited to
dragons,
read.
please.
I hated reading
Yes.
textbooks in college.
Okay.
I will gladly read that one though. Okay, so switching
Yep.
gears back to Akatar. Next theory. Okay, so
Okay.
we know that Tamlin. When I say theories, guys, I'm assuming you mean spoiler. There's will be spoilers. Okay. Um,
Spoilers.
I just need a big
Spoilers.
spoiler button, just right there. The entire episode. It's
Yes.
just
Just
spoiler right
hold
there,
up a sign
right there.
every time.
I need to get a
Yes.
sign. I will make a sign. I need to make a sign. That'd be funny.
Okay.
All right.
That's funny.
So we know that Tamlin is a shapeshifter. He has a beast form and stuff, whatever.
Yes.
But apparently
He's a beast form.
somewhere it mentions that he can shapeshift other people.
Where does it mention that?
I was trying to find that out, but somebody says it mentions it. So their theory is,
Okay.
what if Tamlin shapeshifted himself into Lucian and got into the inner circle? And people have theories that Tamlin being Elaine's mate, or that Lucian is actually Elaine's mate. But the issue is that if it's Tamlin pretending to be Lucian, that could explain why she just is kind of hasn't really responded to Lucian at all, and is kind of standoffish with him. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking that Tamlin
Guys,
could change himself into anybody and kind of like sneak into the inner circle. But then there are those that are kind of like contradict that theory, be like, well, Reese would have been able to tell with his thoughts, being able to read his thoughts and be like, hey,
unless he had Faye can block that, so he could have blocked him because Rhysand
that's
taught
true. That's
Feyre how to
true.
do that. And they did say that he's been running around in his beast form, so nobody has seen human
Yes,
Tamlin in a while.
yes, and that's where it's like their question. There's a theory going around that Tamlin, like, what if Tamlin has actually shapeshifted himself into Lucian, to get into the inner circle.
I love that
Yeah, I
almost.
kind of like that. I honestly, it's a good theory. I like it.
I don't know if she would do that, but I like
I
that.
know.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up and see if Tamlin can shapeshift other people because I want to know where that's from.
Yeah.
He can also change the shape of others and turn many members of his court into wolves when he sends them across the wall in the hopes of breaking his curse. Apparently, Lucian says Tam can shift us into other shapes if he wants to. So I think it's mentioned in A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah. Yeah, probably, because it says like shape. It just says shape shifting is what I'm seeing. Tamlin can shapeshift into a beast form that contains elements of various animals. He becomes a horse-sized creature. He has large, like, okay, it's describing his beast form, but
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, appearance. Okay, is known for his immense brute strength and ability to shapeshift. He can shapeshift his own shape into that of a horse-sized beast with bear-like body and a head of a wolf. He's also known to got claws. He can also change the shape of others and turn many members of his courts. Yeah, this is where you were reading also.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, has there been a thing where like the powers adjust and change over time? Is that a thing in this?
I don't remember.
But yeah. So we know he can
I don't
shapeshift.
remember.
But there's like a theory like what if he
Yeah.
can shapeshift into like people and shapeshift into like different things. So like that was kind of like a theory going around of like
Yeah.
if he
I
could
just want
shapeshift into
Tamlin and
people.
Elaine.
Because originally it was
I just want
like what if Elaine could sense that there was something off with Lucian, so she wasn't really interacting with him. Um
could see that.
like I don't know. When I think about it, I've always thought it was kind
How
of
long ago
weird.
did that happen though?
What do you mean?
Like how long ago did what book did he
Lucian stated that he jumped up and said that she was his mate right after they returned. If I remember
oh, okay.
correctly, it was so weird and it felt so awkward because he was like, "Oh, mate, you're my mate," and it was just like out of nowhere, just jumping up and like claiming this girl as his mate, and I'm like, she just got forced into a cauldron and changed into a fae.
Not
Back
relevant
up, my
right
guy.
now. I
Back
never
up.
thought
Like
about
not the
that.
time for that. But it's like
But she was
honestly,
well my point is that couldn't have been Tamlin though, because he did that and still interacted with Tamlin, didn't he? And that was
mm,
and she was off putting to him immediately.
yeah,
Not to shoot this an idea in
that's
the foot because I
true.
really like
Yeah,
it.
I don't know. I feel there's like there's plot holes I could find in this one that I'm gonna not really plot holes, but like questions that I have about this one.
Tamlin and Elaine to be
In my
together
head
so
it
bad
seems like
though.
a little far fetched, but it's like you know unless
Yeah, I like it though.
yeah I do
I wish
too.
it was a thing. I just see too many plot holes with it,
Yeah,
sadly.
yeah.
I
Okay,
want Tamlin and Elaine to be together so bad
my
though.
last discussion question,
Okay.
because I've been like, as I'm sure you're aware, like movies here recently have been very lackluster, and it's just looks like seems like remake after remake after remake, and it's just
Yeah.
doesn't really feel like anything's really original. And like
Mhm.
here recently, I've seen a lot more. I don't know if it's just the algorithms picking up on the fact that I've listened to, I like saw that I've listened to some graphic audios, and like have showing me more content of that, or like people listening to graphic audios. But it's like my question is, there's a graphic audio for Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, which I didn't realize, but there's now
Yeah,
graphic audios
there
for
was.
those now, and I didn't realize that. So
Yeah,
what are
I
your
got one
thoughts?
when I was reading Full Swing.
Okay, so my first question is, what was your thoughts on you? What are your thoughts on using graphic audio to read a book? That's my
I
first part
like
of the
it.
question.
I That's what got me through Silver Flames, and it is
Yeah,
like a movie in your head, but
yeah,
I prefer to follow along with the book in my hand because I can't comprehend by listening.
mm,
So if you read to me, I'm not going to register
yeah,
what you're talking about.
yeah.
I'm
That's
not
fair.
good at that. Like in a fictional story, I
Yeah.
have to actually physically read the words myself. I don't know
Hmm.
why. I'm just stupid, I guess, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
No, no, no.
So for
I
me, if
totally
I
get
do
that though.
listen to audiobooks, sometimes now, like
Yeah.
when we went on our trip to South Dakota, the Brotherhood audiobook, Star Wars Brotherhood, we
Mm-hmm.
listened to that on the way there, and it literally kept me insane because it was a 14-hour drive.
Yeah.
And I was stuck in the car and I just can't just sit there. And so that was
Yeah.
one time I was able to listen and comprehend, but in most circumstances I can't just sit there. And so it for me, I like it. And like I said, I because to me, I was thrown off by a female reading the male characters, and like I
Yeah. I
love
don't
the male
like it
love
when they do
interest. And
that.
it's like I can't really hear
Yeah.
them as sexy because it's a
That
female reading a male character.
that's
And
why
so I like the
I
dramatized audiobooks because of the
yeah,
casting and the
me too.
sound effects and music. Like they had some amazing like in one the fight scene in Silver Flames where she goes in the
Mm-hmm.
swamp, that
Yeah.
creature that she fought. it made noises. Like it sounded monstrous in the
Yeah.
dramatized audiobook, and it was so scary. But
Yeah.
I loved that fear that it jolted in me that I probably
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have got by just reading the words, because the description was bad. It was descriptive, but it added this whole level of
Yeah.
like, and the actors, the emotional times when like Cassian would like yell at her and they would fight, you can hear the brokenness in his voice. And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, I love Cassian because I'm attaching the voice. All like to
Yeah.
me, he is Cassian, that
Yeah.
actor that they did.
And honestly,
So
that's why I can't wait for them to start doing graphic audios for this series, because
I wanted
there's a
to
graphic
go to
audio
class.
there's a graphic audio that's not released yet, but I think it's like next year sometime, I think,
Yeah,
for
sadly.
Throne of Glass.
I
But like
tried the
I
audiobook, but I
do
didn't like
like,
her voice for
okay,
Dorian.
I do like her, the narrator. I do really like her. I think she does a when there's more characters in place, she does a good job with distincting, like getting different voices for the different characters. And so she
Yeah.
does a good job with that, as there's like, because once you get to like these books where there's more characters in play, like these last chunks, there's a lot more characters of when like just than like the main ones in and Throne of Glass. So like she does a really good job distincting voices and stuff like that and adding emotion into it. But it's like there are certain times where I'm just like, mm, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of female reading. If it's like a really male heavy book, then there needs to be like a female and a male narrator, like doing like the two voices
Like
or
I did with
something.
Rogue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um. So my next question, as it seems like graphic audio, like that because it's actually a company called Graphic Audio, and you can go to their website and look it up, all their books that they have graphic audios for. Um. But
Hmm.
as
I may
we
do
kind
that
of
sometime.
yeah, as we kind of develop this and as this is developed, do you think that there's a possibility of graphic audios could be like could become more popular than movies?
I kind of hope so, because when you think about when you think about how audiobooks first boomed,
Yeah.
it got a lot of people who don't read books to start listening to books as
Yeah.
they drive or
Yeah.
clean or get
Yeah,
busy.
exactly.
And I will never ever think that anything that could get more people to reading or listening to books than if they wouldn't, if it didn't exist otherwise.
Yeah.
I Well, like, to me, that's always a good thing,
Yeah.
because not enough people read today. Like, I'm sure you
Oh
can agree with
no,
that,
I
that
agree with
we
that.
need
Yeah.
people to read books more. And if the only way they listen to it is through audiobooks, that's fine. If the
Hmm.
only way they listen to it is graphic audio, because for me, I'm the one that if there's a graphic audio for it, I will do that over an
Yeah.
audiobook, because
Yeah.
Silver Flames spoiled me and I'm spoiled rotten now.
Yeah.
Um, so to me, I like the idea, and I think that actually does, because there's some people who will say that like, oh, listening to an audiobook doesn't count as reading. Like you're still going through the book, whether you're listening or like we can talk semantics, whether you want to call it reading or listening, but to me, you're still going through the book and you're still
Yeah.
absorbing the book and
And
its story and the
honestly,
characters.
and
So
honestly,
I kind of think so, because and
like,
it could help out
yeah.
authors like me, and like shifting more people to books, because
Yeah.
like you said, the industry of movies is so uncreative, but there's
Hmm.
so many untapped sources of entertainment through
Hmm.
books
Yeah.
that people don't know about, because like you said, it been passed in your class, like people don't think they can read.
My
And so this
kids
could
don't
also
read.
help
Like there's
people
like
who
maybe I could count maybe like the number of students on one hand that are active. Like they all bring books to class, but there's only like a small, like literally a single hand of students that I've actually seen reading, that I've actually had to tell them to put the
I
book
was
down because we're in the
one
middle
of
of a
those
lesson.
students. When I would finish work in class, I would grab a book and read. And
That's
I
not a
was one of
thing.
the few that
No.
would ever do that. Yeah,
That's not a
like
thing. And I don't know if that,
yeah.
and that's where it's like, but like,
I have a
and then I
question
have
for you though
kids,
too.
and then it's like, and then I have the kids that are like, I would never be able to get through something like this. And I'm like, and it's like,
But
I think
listening
it's
to
just a
it.
lack of
So
confidence thing too. So it's like, I don't know.
yeah.
It's
So
like
my
a whole
question for
deep thing.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, so deep question for you.
Okay.
You had trouble reading when you were younger. If
Yeah.
audiobooks or graphic audios had existed back then, do you think you would have listened or absorbed more books that way because
Um,
of your comprehension
they
level?
they had like audiobooks on CDs when I was in elementary school, but
Right, I kind
I
of remember.
wasn't low enough to be put into a class where I had consistent access to those.
Yeah.
So
But
part of their
hypothetically, if you had Audible back then,
uh-huh.
do you think that would have helped you absorb more
Oh
books
yeah.
than you normally would?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was slow at reading and my comprehension was low. So if I had like any time like when you get like and that's where it's like when you were talking about that like the semantics of like reading versus listening, like in college we talk
Mhm.
about how like the like with communication, like if you're not like there's like the opposite sides. I forget the technical terms of it, but it's like reading and
Mhm.
writing are parallels that go together. Like they're different forms of that written communication. And then like you have the
Right.
spoken like the spoken communication, like speaking versus listening. They're all connected
Oh,
together. They're all together. Like
right.
that's the whole thing of it. So it's like the more times like and anytime you're trying to learn something or develop a skill, like if a student can hear it spoken, can see it and can like write it, like have all those different forms of communication, they're going to learn it so much quicker. So it's like the idea
Mhm.
of like reading something on paper while you're hearing somebody else read it to you is huge. And it's like
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to be able to do that in elementary school and I didn't just didn't I didn't wasn't in I wasn't low enough to really get that and I just didn't.
Mhm.
And so um but yeah, so that's why I honestly feel like I love just having an audiobook playing and just that's where like when I get to the points when I get to like the last like 75% of the book and suddenly I'm just done with it is because what's happened is I've gotten so into it that I will turn the audiobook on and I will pull the book up and I will just read
Mhm.
along as it's reading it to me. I will read with it as it's reading it to me. And
Yeah,
there's
that's what I
times
do.
where it's funny because in my head, I read slightly faster than the generic
Yeah.
time. So there's times because when I was finishing, there was one of them that I was finishing that I really wanted to finish. I can't remember which one it was, but like I had it turned up to like 1.35 at one point, almost like I had it way
Do that
up
for so much
to try to
time.
get it finished because I was just so focused on finishing it. But it's like I
Yeah.
love doing that now purely because I wanted to do that when I was younger and I couldn't. So it's like,
And now you can.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think but back to the like I think it's going to be a good thing and
I
honestly I
think so
kind of
too.
hope it keeps up that way like the less creative Hollywood
Yeah.
and movies and the film industry is the
Yeah.
more people may shift over to books because as a both as a reader and an author I really genuinely hope that
Yeah.
more people can start reading books
Books
and that
are
there
just
can
more
be a boom in
creative.
the industry just
You
because
have
it's
all
more
these
creative and there's so many creative untapped like
you have
potential
all of
stories of
these
entertainment, you know?
yes, you have all of these like genuinely super talented writers that are making these unique stories that aren't copycats from something else or aren't like a sequel to a novel. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like do these genuinely new
Yeah.
stories. Like,
And new
you know what I'm
characters and new
saying?
plot lines and
And
new world. You know what
and
I'm
when
saying?
was the last
Yeah.
time we saw a movie in theaters that wasn't based on a previous movie, that didn't have a book already written about it, or didn't wasn't based on a historical event? That it was
Or a series
genuinely
that
a
already
new
existed.
story, new characters that nobody has ever been introduced before, or wasn't based on a Barbie doll.
Trying to think. Avatar, when the blue Avatar came out back in like 2010, wasn't
But
it? Was it 2010?
that's like the
It's
2010s
like
though.
14 years ago. I know. I can't think of anything
They'll be
recent.
15 next year.
I actually genuinely want to know
And
the answer
that's
to this
where it's
question.
like,
What the last
and
book,
then
the
maybe it's just
last
me
movie
being
that did
dumb and I
was?
can't, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, and then when I flip
I
the
could say name
question,
TV shows,
yeah.
but not films. You know
And
what I'm
then I
saying?
flip the question, when was the last time we got a new novel with new characters, new plot line that we'd never been introduced before? It happens daily with reading and with
Name at
writers.
least 10 off the top, like every book that I've
Yes.
read this year, Fourth
Yeah.
Wing, you know,
Yeah.
ACOTAR, Throne of
Yeah.
Glass, you know, which was released in 2012, but you know,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
continuing
No.
to make
Yeah.
books on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
And like
Oh,
there are
that's a good
several books like there's several books on my list like the Serpent and Wings of Night. That was like a completely new
Serpent in the Wings of
series.
Night.
Like
That was brand new.
wasn't
Blood
like
Guard.
it wasn't like a carbon copy of something else, or at least I haven't seen it
Yeah.
yet. And it's like,
Bloodguard literally just came out last month and it was
yeah,
like so good.
that's true.
So
There's
I
Bloodguard.
totally
There's,
agree.
like,
Was it Midnight Sun been out for a couple years now? I mean, it's
yeah, but it
based
was
on
based on
Twilight,
another.
but
It was
still,
based on a prior series
yeah.
though. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
I just
know.
saw it sitting
It's
there.
like,
Yeah, I see what you're saying though. It's like there's so many different
yeah,
ones. But yeah.
yeah.
So, all right. So one of mine that I wanted to talk to you guys about is thriftbooks.com. I don't know how I
Oh,
got
I
a hold
love
of
that
this, but
website.
it's specifically thriftbooks.com/B/Onyx Storm pre-order bonus, and there's dashes between each of those. Um, and it's like if you order Onyx Storm, pre-order the gorgeous little hardback, you
Mm-hmm.
get a free book reward when your copy ships out, and that's the reading reward with thrift books. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because
Okay.
I've been trying to
Okay.
resist
Pre-order.
pre-ordering.
Yeah, I got it. I see what you're
You got it?
saying. Yeah.
Cool. So that's a thing. And then the other thing that I wanted to tell you guys about is Book Barbarian, where you get free and discounted sci-fi and fantasy books.
Ooh.
And they send you a single daily email alert, limited time free and with limited time free and deeply discounted science fiction and fantasy ebooks. All you have to do is enter your email address, you subscribe to their newsletter, and that's all their newsletter is. And usually the free book, because I know how that works from the author side of things, we can do up to 5 days with
Mm-hmm.
our books free if they have their books in the KU. So it's a great way to get free and discounted science fiction fantasy books.
Ooh.
So Book Barbarian, you
Yeah.
Google it, it's the first thing that pops up. And some of the ones that they've popped up are like popular sci-fi ones like Ender's Game, The Maze Runner, The Magicians, Outlander's on there, Hunger Games, Ready Player One, Harry Potter. I've got Lord of the Rings, Quest of Heroes. That was a good one I've never really read before. So they've got, it looks like they've got a lot. Anytime anything goes on sale, anytime anything goes free, they'll send it to you.
Okay, so
So I wanted to mention that as well.
one other thing that I wanted to mention, there's a girl on TikTok that I follow. It's called Probably Off Reading. I think her name's Miranda, and she's always
Uh,
posting all kinds of like stuff your Kindle days. And if you don't know what that is, it's where like a lot of like indie authors participate in this as well, where like on a specific day they'll mark a certain blogs will orchestrate days called Stuff Your Kindle Days, and they're all themed. And so there was a lot this past year. So like I've got several books on my Kindle that looked good and I got because they were free, that I haven't read yet. But there's a Stuff Your Kindle Day. It did say dark romance and fantasy, so I don't know if it's like dark fantasy or if it's just dark romance and then fantasy added in. So you might want to be careful if you are a clean romance reader. You might be careful. But it's December 27th. Stuff Your
okay.
Kindle Day.
I love Stuff Your
Um,
Kindle.
and then it
I
was, I'm
actually had
trying to see if I
another
could
one I could have
find
joined and
the
I
name.
just
It's
forgot.
dark mode syk.com, I guess. So I don't know. Again, it says dark mode, so that makes me think like smutty romance. So I don't know. So you
You
might,
just gotta be
I
careful.
haven't looked too much into it yet. I do like to kind of browse the Stuff Your Kindle Days because I have got some interesting books
Yeah,
that I'm kind of interested in reading a little bit. Um,
I did
so,
too. My
and
TBR list
they
is
do
fine.
have, they do advertise. They've had some clean romance, clean fantasy. Like they have had like the LGBT stuff.
Mhm.
Like if that's something you're into reading, there's all kinds of topics. Like it's not just, there's like the
Mhm.
cozy books, like the Golden Retriever boy type books, like those kind of, they have all kinds of themes like all year long.
Um,
So
One that I was in that's in a Facebook group was like cozy. They did a cozy Christmas one that
okay,
I
yeah,
was going to
yeah,
enter the heart of Christmas, but I forgot. So
yeah,
they've got one, which is, I think that's the Fantasy Book Cafe. I'm going to get the
yeah.
name of that, but they do a
um
lot of stuff like that.
but honestly,
So,
all you need to do is type in Stuff Your Kindle Day into like Instagram
yep.
or TikTok, and then find a page that posts a lot of those updates and just subscribe to them and follow them. I know Miranda, I think her tag name is Probably Off Reading. She's on TikTok. She's the one I follow for updates and stuff. Because on
Yeah.
her link tree, this year she's put like tabs, like links to all of like the Stuff Your Kindle days, and the websites
Yeah.
where you can go to find the list of books on that day. So if you find any of them, anybody on like social media that will post those kinds of things, definitely. So if you're a reader on a budget, which I totally get, because I'm a single teacher, so and
Yeah. I
you're a
have no
single
money for books
self-published,
right now.
you're well, you're not single, but you're a self-published author, so you like full-time self-published author. So we both get the fact that money is tight and you don't always
Yep.
have money to spend like $50-$60 on all these $20 books or $14 Kindle editions. So
Or
I
the
get it.
freaking
So
$30 Onyx Storm
yeah,
hardback.
yeah. So it's like totally get it. So if you are looking, if you want a new read, something random that you would never have picked otherwise, check out some of the stuff your Kindle Days. And I'm sure there'll be
Yeah.
tons coming up in January. There are usually several each
Mhm.
month. And
Also,
sometimes there will
art
be
being an
pages posting ones for like several months
yeah.
in advance. So,
Also, being an ARC reader is a good way if you need
ooh,
free
yes.
books, because we are always looking for ARC readers where you just read the
There
book and
was
all you got
a
to do is just review it. And
yeah,
we don't mind if you have to rate it low. Like if just it's and you don't have to do a whole lengthy analytical review. Like just I liked the book or I hated the book. Like just be simple. The
yeah.
rating itself and the quantity of ratings helps. Not necessarily like oh we don't need a bunch of 5-star reads. Just like
Hmm.
what your honest thoughts are, and it can be brief. But the other thing I wanted to mention alongside the stuff your Kindle, the Fireside Book Cafe is
Hmm.
a really good Facebook group. So all you got to do is just look it up, Facebook groups, this Fireside Book Cafe.
Hmm.
They do a lot of games and book. They have a lot of authors in there that give away books, and so they do games where you like, oh, comment below what your favorite blah blah blah, and then you can end up being entered to win things. So they're doing a lot of Christmas game nights, and so
Hmm.
every day there's at least 1 or 2 authors doing a giveaway in the month of
Yeah.
December. So, and you can scroll through. Some of the giveaways may still be going on. So Fireside Book Cafe on Facebook. So the last thing I want to mention, and this is for author specifically, but I actually found a cover designer who is giving away a freaking cover right now, and it is the most
Ooh.
gorgeous book cover I have ever seen. And they have a fake title on there, but just so you can see the typography, but it is the most gorgeous. Let me see if I can actually turn this around and show you.
Ooh,
Oh
that's
my
pretty.
god, this is so gorgeous. I want it so bad. So I
So
entered.
pretty.
But as an author, all you got to do is take a screenshot of that, post it on your Facebook, and then screenshot your post and let her know that you posted. So, not that I want more people to enter the giveaway because it's more odds for me if they don't. But it
Yeah.
ends December 31st. And she's gonna announce it in the first week of January who won. But it's book covers
Yep.
by Dark Imaginarium art. So,
Ooh.
I have if you just look me up on Facebook, you can easily find it because I've posted about it on my Facebook too. So it's a gorgeous cover. So I had to
Yep.
mention that as well.
Yep. No gatekeeping. We will expose all of the giveaways.
We always do.
Even if we're hoping
Yep.
that you don't get it, we do. We will still tell you about it
Yep.
so you can put in try your chances at it.
Yep.
Alrighty. Um
All right.
I
Do you have any
am
more
all
topics?
out of discussion topics. So unless you
Me
have any
too.
final things to say, I think we're good to start wrapping up for the evening.
Yeah, I am good. I am scared I'm not going to finish it by the end of the year, but
Honey,
I feel like you've
you
read a Throne of Glass size book by how much progress you've made in yours. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm only on page when you think about it,
okay,
252 is how many pages I've
I
read.
am
You
on
have read
page
how many?
I'm on page 332.
So you almost finished Throne of Glass, basically.
Yeah.
I am reading so slow. And so yeah, I'm
Like
really hoping to
literally
finish it.
you have to keep in mind. You are starting a series, so you absorb the world. You're absorbing the world building. Like that is literally
Yeah,
what you're doing.
that
That's
is
why
true.
it's taking you a while because you're absorbing everything. And you need to absorb
Yeah.
everything because it will only build after that.
Yeah.
Like
Also, I forgot to mention the poison task. Oh my gosh, where they had
mhm.
poisons and goblets
Mhm.
and they had to organize them.
Oh
That was
yeah.
so fun. That was so creative. And she
Yes.
looked off of that other guy, the Perez P name guy. I
Uh-huh.
wanted to say
Yeah.
Perez, but I think that's from Fire Country. But yeah, I thought that was really
Yeah.
creative for a
Mhm.
thing. And so they made them line up the poisons on this table, and you had
Yeah.
to drink the one that you thought was less poisonous. So you had to be sure of your decision
Yeah.
or you're going to drink poison.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good. That was really creative.
Okay,
So I forgot about
at this point, do you think you would continue on to Crown of Midnight right after that, or are you still gonna go off and read some other books and then come back?
depending on how this ends, if it's more of a cliffhangery, like, or something is going to draw me to the next book, I may,
Okay,
or I may take a break and do a palate cleanser and then get back into Crown of Midnight.
sweet.
So it
Okay,
kind of depends on where the plot goes.
cool.
But I definitely like my main goal is going to be to read that whole series next year. So,
Yeah, sounds good.
which is definitely a topic for our final video so
Yeah.
of the year, which will be coming soon.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm out of water.
Alrighty.
So
You're out of water.
let us
I'm
know
out
how
of
you guys are
topics, so I
doing.
say we're good.
Yep.
All
Let us
right.
know how you guys are doing in the
Yes.
comments. So we want to know how your
Have
December reads
you
have been going.
have you read your Goodreads goal or just your reading challenge? I think Fable calls it a reading challenge. Goodread, I call it like my Goodreads challenge or what, because that's where I started, where I learned about like your goal, like books you want to
Yeah.
read in a year. So like, have you met your goal for the year of what you wanted to read? Are you still working on it? So
Yep.
let us
Let us
know.
know. Yep.
All right. Talk to
All right.
y'all later.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye.